Want to turn now to Caitlin Huey-Burns on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are back, and Republicans have a fair amount of work to do in the coming weeks. And the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, met with the president about the contours, the roadmap for the tax and spending bill. Catch us up on that, Caitlin.
Hey, Major. Well, if you've been looking at these past 100 days of the Trump administration and wondering where is that other co-equal branch of government, what have they been doing? Well, now is the time for them to act, because as much as the president is doing through executive order and unilaterally, if he wants his main parts of his agenda to be enacted into law, it has to go through Congress. If he wants some of his big immigration programs funded, Congress has to sign off. So this big budget bill, going through this process called reconciliation, which means they only need Republicans to pass it, essentially, is starting to be written this week. A couple of weeks ago, they passed the broad framework of that bill. And remember how much wrangling was involved just to get a set of blueprints essentially passed through. This is where the hard part really begins. The various committees are tasked with writing the legislation about extending, perhaps making permanent, the president's tax cuts as he wants, introducing new tax policy, funding immigration, a bunch of other things on the president's to-do list is going to go through this Congress. Now, the leaders have all been meeting today. Johnson was at the White House earlier today, making sure they're on the same page. The president is very influential here. He's essentially the chief whip. You know, he can tell these members what they should do and has been whipping votes throughout this session so far. So he's going to be critical. And just a few minutes ago, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, was up here on the Hill meeting with Republican leaders, also trying to work through this bill. So they've got a lot to do, but really the headline is that over the next few weeks, Congress is really going to kind of be at center stage here, because the president's agenda is now really going to depend on them.
And Caitlin, as I understand it, the president has set a aspirational deadline for signing this of July 4th or thereabouts?
That's right. Memorial Day is a deadline the House wants. July 4th, the president has said sometime this summer may be more realistic at this point. The bottom line is that they want to get this done as soon as possible because, as you well know, once the summer hits and Congress goes on recess for well over a month, then you get into the fall and the midterms start to kind of pick up later, and the urgency of doing this kind of starts to fade away. And because they're doing this through the reconciliation process, they've got to do it now. They're working on the budget for this next fiscal year coming up. So this is really the time, and they want to move quickly because the more time they have, to disagree and to introduce new problems. So the arm twisting is already beginning. They're starting to write legislation, and we'll see what they come up with.
Caitlin Huey-Burns on Capitol Hill. As always, thank you.